Afternoon everyone, welcome to a brief transfer edition of On The Whistle because we have yet another potentially very exciting Sunderland signing to talk about. Now, really pleased to say I'll be out in Portugal this weekend covering both games against Sevilla and Sporting Lisbon. There'll be absolutely stacks of coverage on the Sunderland Echo website, on my Twitter and Blue Sky, and of course hopefully some On The Whistles here on YouTube as well, so keep your eyes out for them. But we're going to talk a little bit today about, hopefully, Sunderland's seventh summer signing. Now, obviously, as you know, I've tried to stick as much as I can in these transfer videos to deals that are pretty advanced and look like they're definitely, hopefully, going to happen. And Sassuolo's Armand Laurienté now very much in that category. My understanding is that the two clubs have now agreed a fee in the region of 17.5 million for Laurienté. Now, he's a name you've probably heard because he's been linked with Sunderland for a number of weeks. I think this is really exciting, Sunderland getting a key attacking target over the line. Players keen on the move, and so hopefully it's something that we'll go through in the next few days. Obviously, as we always say, football, things can change very, very quickly, and it's not done until it's done. But I think we are at a point where we can talk a little bit about this, and most importantly, what will he bring to the squad. So, who is Laurienté? He's a 26-year-old forward with a lot of top-level experience in Europe. So a few seasons at Lorient, where he kind of broke through, made his name in senior football, and then 3 seasons at Sassuolo in Italy. So he didn't play for Lebris at Lorient, but there is definitely a connection there because Lebris was the academy boss at the time when Laurienté was in the first team. So fair to assume that he's a player that Lebris knows really well, knows his strengths, knows his game, knows his personality. And although Florent Gisolfi had also left Lorient by the time Laurienté was there, he was, of course, working at Lens as sporting director. So I think it's fair to assume Sunderland's new director of football knows Laurienté very well, knows his game, knows what he can bring to the team. So yeah, Laurienté's played the vast majority of his football, as I say, in the top divisions in Europe. He brings well over 100 sort of appearances in the top tier to his name. Now, Sassuolo did play in Serie B last season because they were relegated the season before. Laurienté stayed. He wanted to put that right. He wanted to sort of put right to the wrongs of that relegation. And he had by far his most spectacular season in terms of output. Scored 18 goals, which was the second most in the entire division. Also chipped in with 5 assists as well, which was right up there in terms of making him one of the most productive players in the entire division. So I think they spent a lot of time this afternoon researching Laurienté, watching his clips, trying to learn a little bit about him and where he might fit into the picture at Sunderland. I think what's very, very clear about him first and foremost is, as we're saying with pretty much every forward that we're talking about at Sunderland this year, he has a lot of pace, covers a huge amount of ground in a short amount of time, really going to be a threat in the transition. And I think it's obvious that Sunderland are trying to recruit players with that athleticism, with that speed, as they try to adapt to the Premier League and the athleticism of that level, and also realistically the fact that they are going to be trying to do a lot of their attacking on the break and in transition. So he's a very versatile player. He's played in all forward positions at some stage across his career for basically every club. But for sure, he's played the bulk of his football, certainly at Sassuolo, but also, to be honest, at Lorient as well, off the left. Watching his clips, there are definite similarities with the wingers that Sunderland have in terms of Romain Mundle, but I think there is probably a touch of the Wilson Isidore about him in terms of he plays off the left, but certainly last season at Sassuolo, it's no coincidence that he scored so many goals because he likes to stay really, really high up the pitch. He's very, very quick and he plays off the shoulder of the fullback a lot, likes to try and dart in field, try and get on the end of through balls, create 1v1 opportunities and scored a lot of goals that way. One of the things that I really liked watching about him from what I've seen today is not just his pace, but also he's fairly two-footed. So he definitely prefers his right foot. I think that's where, it's what he takes set pieces off. It's definitely his stronger foot. But I've seen him score quite powerful goals off his left foot as well. That obviously helps him be versatile in a number of different positions because it certainly means he could play off the right if required. And it makes him a little bit less predictable for defenders as well because obviously you can go in the inside and the outside. So just to give you a flavour of how sort of impressive his output was last season. So looking at stats website FBref, in terms of attacking midfielders and wingers in the 14 divisions outside Europe's big leagues, 5 big divisions, because obviously he was playing Serie B last season. He was in the top 5% for expected goals, the top 1% of shots on target per 90 minutes played, top 16% of shots per 90 in total, top 5% of progressive passes received. So I think that's telling you how high up the pitch he's getting, how much he's seeing the ball in the opposition third. He was also second, these stats from Y-Scout, second for second assists, so essentially assisting the person who plays the final pass for the goal, and also sixth in the entire division for touches in the opposition penalty area, which, considering he's not playing as a central striker, is really impressive, and I think it tells you how high up the pitch he gets. Now, there's an obvious caveat to this, which is this was a second division level. He's not come close to producing these kind of goal scoring numbers when he's played in the top divisions, and I think that's an important caveat to make. Although, you know, he still has a pretty solid record for someone who's played predominantly out wide, scoring 5 and 7 goals in the 2 Serie A seasons before that. So I thought it would be interesting to go back a little bit, because those stats are potentially a bit misleading in terms of it's a very different level to what he's played at previously and the level he'll be moving into next season. But I think if we look at the 2022-23 Serie A seasons, this was his first season with Sassuolo. When they finished, I think they either finished 14th or 15th. So I think it gives you a good flavour in terms of his true level, if you like, in terms of playing for a team, hopefully in a similar position to Sunderland, sort of aspiring to try and beat relegation and be in that kind of lower mid-table bracket, and what kind of his level was. So even then, he was still in the top 12% for attacking midfielders and wingers for combined goals and assists. That tells you his output in a not particularly productive team was pretty good. But he was also in the top 7% for progressive carries, so carrying the ball into dangerous areas, and the top 5% for key passes as well. So I think that tells you that he's not just about shooting, he is someone who can contribute to all phases of the game. I would say he has two, from what I've seen, kind of like 2 key moves. One is that pacing behind, which I've mentioned, but he also likes to drift in field at times and be a bit more of a playmaker as well. So definitely got a few different kind of strings to his bow, and I think that's the main reason why you could look at it from the outside and say, well, someone have already got 2 left wingers, why do they need another one? I think the key here is that they're signing a player who's experienced at the top level, which we know is something they're really prioritising this summer, something that I think is really important. But he's also someone who is going to bring a lot of versatility. Can definitely play off the right if required. He can definitely play through the middle, either on his own or as a 2, whether it's from the start or within games. Could definitely play sort of off the main striker. Primarily, he is, I would have thought, given his career so far, going to play off the left, because that does seem to be the position with which he's most comfortable. Probably a little bit different to Mundle and Dingra, just as I mentioned, because certainly he gets a lot more shots away. He probably plays a little bit more sort of within the penalty box, or likes to try and play within the penalty box a little bit more than those two, who are probably more kind of ball carriers and more dribblers. That's certainly what the statistics would suggest. But those are parts of the game where Laurienté can contribute as well. So yeah, hopefully that's given you a little bit of an insight into Laurienté and his strengths and what he might be able to bring to the team. I think this is certainly one that makes those forward lines look pretty strong. We've talked a little bit about players potentially going to the African Cup of Nations. Obviously, there will be injuries across the course of the season. I think you're adding some real strong competition here, a player who can sort of push for a starting position off the left, but also can offer cover in a variety of areas as well. So I think it just goes to show how ambitious Sunderland are in building a squad that can compete. Very obviously, there are now other positions of the pitch, which I think are a pretty big priority now moving forward. We've spoken about defenders, and it's clear that Sunderland need to recruit in that part of the pitch as well. And I think it's fairly obvious from the stories that we've already discussed this summer that they would like to add another kind of high-level goalkeeper for competition as well. But I think this is very much another piece of the puzzle, and encouraging that, as we know, this is a target they've been looking at for some number of weeks now, a player that clearly they have identified as a key target. And fingers crossed, touch wood, we're now getting to a point where it looks like this deal will happen. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit brief, but hopefully it's given you a bit of an insight into, hopefully, Sunderland's 7th summer signing. As I say, out in Portugal this weekend for the 2 friendlies, absolutely stacks of content coming both online on the website and on the YouTube channel as well. So yeah, please keep your eyes out for that and get involved. And as ever, thanks so much for watching On The Whistle.